Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and $1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Light the candle, Tiger!
Hi there, Happy New Year. Delighted to be back with the first Racing Post Golf Postcast of the year. The usual team are in situ. It's me, Bruce Millington, Steve Palmer and Paddy Power's Ian McLaughlin. We've only got one tournament this week, but it's a beauty. It's the Sony Open. The tour is sticking for the second of its 2 weeks in Hawaii. So hopefully the lads have got all the best bets. Before we look at that, we will also, by the way, be looking at the Ryder Cup because Europe have named their captain. And we'll look at all the best bets for 2019 to win majors and to top the money list. So hopefully the lads have got some good value bets there that will give you a great run for your money right from now through to the end of the year. First of all, though, let's see how our team of experts are. Steve, raring to go?
Yeah. Nice Christmas break.
What's the highlight of your Christmas?
Well, my toothbrush. I'm really excited about my new toothbrush. I've got a toothbrush. It's got 5 different modes on it now, so you can flick between like gums, tongue, back teeth, front teeth. It's like state-of-the-art, top-of-the-range toothbrush. So, yeah, that was the highlight of my Christmas, getting to grips with that.
Is it rechargeable or battery?
Yeah, you've got to recharge it.
That's good. That sounds
uses
brilliant.
Uses up a lot of juice, but it's transformed my dental hygiene.
Brilliant. Did you delight the ladies of your life with the presents you got them?
Grace got a scooter. She's banging into scootering. She's very happy, but the wife couldn't have her laser eye surgery. You know, I was planning to have laser eye surgery, but you can't have that when you're pregnant because I didn't know this at the time, but the pregnancy hormones change your eyesight, apparently, amazingly.
Wow.
So you can't have that when you're pregnant. So, I got a chocolate orange instead.
Excellent. You can't go wrong with that, can you? Ian, all well with you, mate? Did you enjoy the festive period?
Yeah, great. It was a lovely break. Couple of weeks off now, raring to go for the new season.
Excellent. Well, the new season actually started last week, of course, with the Tournament of Champions, in which Xander Schauffele came from miles back on the Sunday with an incredible 11 under par final round to grab the title. Well, how was it for Paddy Power, Ian? Was it a punters tournament or a bookies tournament?
In the end, it was a bookies tournament now, and this side of the pond, obviously, Rory McIlroy contending for 3 or 4 days. The book is going to be so heavily weighted towards him. So when he got into the last group on Sunday, we were kind of a little bit nervous. Start of the year off could have been a poor enough start, but Woodland and Schauffele were good results in the end. So obviously, Schauffele 62, fantastic round of golf. Like, I fell for Gary Woodland. 3-shot lead, shoots 5 under par and still gets beaten by 1. He did nothing wrong. Schauffele was just different class.
Be honest here, Ian. If we'd done a postcast last week, who would you have tipped?
Schauffele, Woodland forecast.
No, you wouldn't. Who would you have gone for?
Probably would have gone for John Ram.
John Ram?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Steve, what did we learn last week, mate?
We learnt last week to not get excited on the first day because the first day went really well. The first shot they showed was Patton Kazara getting a hole-in-one, and I was on him at fancy prices. I thought, here we go, golf is back, guaranteed second income. And then the second day was absolutely brutal. I mean, I don't really watch any of it. 12 a.m. starts and
no good to me. I never
12
watched
till 3. I mean, it's absolutely savage to watch golf at that hour if it's not going well. And Dustin Johnson was in second place after round 1. He was my main man. And then he played the wrong ball at the 4th hole in the second round. He hit the wrong ball. This silly marshal pointed him towards what he thought was his ball. Said, there's your ball. Dustin hits it, walks 20 yards up the fairway and finds his original ball. So a 2-shot penalty for that. I mean,
goodness.
That was a really tough one to take in the middle of the night with fortunes on Dustin Johnson. They've changed all the rules of golf for 2019. They got to make it more simple and.
Well, I presume you still have to hit your own ball. That's not unusual.
Yeah, I know, but obviously no advantage gained, is there? Then he spots it's his real ball. I mean, I think under those circumstances the penalty was harsh, but
he did play quite erratically looking at his scorecard.
Yeah. But how would you go over that 2-shot penalty at the 4th hole? I mean, he went to pieces from there. Finished 4th in the end. Finished in a share of the places, but no good to me. No, it's an expensive week. I'm glad we didn't have a podcast last week because I was quite strong on Dustin Johnson, and I'm glad the listeners didn't get involved.
Are there any rule changes that are really material and that we should know about as we approach the punting year?
Well, putting with the flag stick in was the big one last week. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau, he loves all the attention he gets. He was the one that was putting with the flag stick in more than anyone. So the mad scientist, as everyone likes to label him, has got some thinking to do because he says there's certain types of flag that are made with a certain material that receive the ball better when they go in. So there's certain tournaments where he's going to be more up for leaving the flag in than not. So yeah, when you're on a casual round of golf now, Bruce, I know you're enjoying your retirement and playing golf every day.
I'm playing this weather, mate, believe me.
You can leave the flag stick in. That suits you. You can get around.
I normally do
now.
anyway, mate. I never trouble it. There's no point taking it out. So we're now going to have to, in the tournament lowdown panel, we're going to have to say whether the flag stick's made of hickory or willow or whatever else, are we?
We are. I mean, most of the players are rejecting the idea of putting with the plastic in, but Bryson's setting the trend, and his putting stats were great, weren't they? At the start of the week, so everyone was sort of having a look at the putting stats, thinking, "Oh, blimey, we better start leaving the plastic in." I don't know what will happen going forward. It seems, as a purist, I would always want it out, but we shall see. So yeah, that's the main one, and then obviously you got dropped from knee height. That's another one that you could catch you out, Bruce.
Knee height.
You can't drop from standard height now. You got to hold it down to your knees.
Is that to just speed things up a bit so it doesn't roll off? Or?
Yeah, I guess so. But there few players have been complaining about it because they say the short players like Brian Harman are getting an advantage because they can
place
it, virtually place it. So Tony Finau's like double the height of Brian Harman. He's at a disadvantage.
There's no way that is it the tibia, the lower leg bone, or the fibula, whichever it is. There's no way that one can be double the other. That's ridiculous. It's impossible, surely.
I think Finau's about 25 feet, and then.
But the gap between his foot and his knee isn't 6 feet, is it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I know.
Golf's a weird sport, isn't it? Any other rule changes, Ian, that we should know about? Or indeed any other players who caught your eye either from a positive or a negative perspective last week?
It was a quiet enough week for me, as Steve said, that the midnight starts were desperate. I only got 2 days to watch, and obviously I watched the first day with Bryson, the flags again. Aesthetically, it's hard to watch on the eye, but he's brought in, he's doing things that are changing the game. What's he, number 3 in the world now, 4 wins in his last 4 months. People do scoff at what he's doing, but I think he's doing it right. I think the flag stick in could be the future, it could be the way forward to do it, because I was listening to him talk about it, and he says the ball kind of, if it's going at any sort of pace of the hole, the tip of the flag stick will deaden the ball and it will just drop either side of the hole. So compared to, say, if you hit it, there was one case where I think it was an 8-footer from DJ, he hit the hole and it kind of lipped out, and Bryson went in behind him, kind of similar sort of putt, hit the flag and dropped in. So it could be, it's not great in the eyes, and players are obviously going to scoff at the start, but I think midway through the year, if players start doing it and start winning, it could become a real serious trend. That was the main one I saw, and obviously the one that dropped knee, I think that's a bit of a farcical change. I don't really see the difference. Maybe it's because if you drop from a higher height with your shoulder, the bounce of the ball.
Exactly, more like, you know, when you're on the verge and it's going to go in the water, presumably it's to just slow that down, isn't it?
Yeah, they were the only 2 real rules that kind of stood out to me. So,
but surely in the
balls as well, Bruce. So you got less time to look for. Another one that you'll like is that you got less time to look for balls. It was previously 5 minutes to look for a lost ball. Now it's 3 minutes.
Oh, good. Yeah, they've got to speed it up, haven't they?
Yeah.
I suppose more erratic golfers are punished by that. So that's one way of looking at things.
But also, presumably, if you've got player A putting with the flag out and then player B who's inside him putting it back in, that's actually going to slow things down, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to have times where you might have a 3-ball, 2 players want it in. The first player puts flag in, second player puts flag out, third player puts flag in. So yeah, it could become farcical at times. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's no good. Never mind that. Let's hope we can get some winners. We'll be back in a moment looking at the Sony Open.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and $1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Be the right club today.
Okay, let's look at the tournament that's taking place this week. Like I say, the US Tour is still in Hawaii. The action switches over to Wai'alae for the Sony Open. It's a full field. We've got a nice each-way concession from Paddy Power as always. So Ian, take it away with the show.
Yes, 8 places this week. Justin Thomas heads are betting at 6-1. Bryson DeChambeau at 10-1. Gary Woodland at 12-1. Jordan Speed at 14-1. Mark Leishman 16-1. Cameron Champ 22-1. Charles Howell 22-1. Cameron Smith 22-1. And 28-1 bar.
And Steve, just quickly before we get your main tip, what's the big difference between this course and last week's course? I know they're both in Hawaii, but that doesn't mean they're both going to be identical, does it? Is it a similar test?
No, it'd be similar wins, typically be similar wins, but apart from that, they're very contrasting courses. And I think you got the pronunciation slightly wrong there. It's Wai'alae. It's Wai'alae.
It's
one for the Geordies this week. Yeah, it's Wai'alae, man.
Is it?
Wai'alae, man.
How would you say it, Ian?
I say Wai'alae.
Wai'alae, we got 3 versions. Blimey.
But it's always been the Oaks for this tournament. Very thin fairway, small greens, but very short and very easy, especially this week with no wind in the forecast. Very unusual Sony Open forecast this week. Flat calm. I think we should be on 59 watch a couple of times this week. Justin Thomas shot 59 in 2017, and I think we're going to get a birdie fest this week, and we could get another 59.
Oh, blimey. Are you going to be pricing up at 59, Ian?
We could do. I'm in back in the office after lunch, so yeah, I probably could price that up. Now I'm going to be a lot shorter now, obviously, with Steve has his eye on it for the first tournament of the year. So
you should do. Right then, Steve, who's going to win?
Charles Howell III is going to win. One of the most consistent performers on the US Tour this millennium. $37 million of US prize money in the bank, but not enough victories for a player of his talent. But finally got his 3rd win at the end of last year, RSM Classic, and I think more wins will come now. I think the floodgates might open. You know, I've been a huge Charles Howell fan since he was born. But I think that RSM Classic triumph and the manner of that triumph will really get him going now, because he got off to a dismal start in the final round. He was 3 over par through 2 holes, defending a lead. Looked like it was going to all go wrong again, squander another title chance, but he covered the final 14 holes in 6 under par. Birdies at 15, 16, 17, got in a playoff and won that with another birdie at the second extra hole. So really gutsy effort. You know, huge weight off his shoulders. He turns 40 in June, so he's still got plenty of golf in him.
God, I thought they grow up so quick, don't they?
Yeah, it seems like only yesterday we was predicting Charles Howell's the future world number 1. It didn't happen like that, but better late than never. RSM Classic success was a seaside track. He's going to another seaside track this week, and his record at Wai'alae is absolutely superb. He made his debut in 2002, finished 4th. Never missed a cut there. 17 starts, never missed a cut. He's placed 7 times, score an average of 67.59 over 64 rounds. He's failed to shoot under par just once in the last 28 rounds at Wai'alae. I mean, yeah, this course is made for him, and now he goes here as a winner. He feels good about himself. And he shook the Christmas rust off last week. Key stat for this tournament, 14 of the last 20 Sony winners played at Kapalua the previous week. When you consider that's a small field at Kapalua, about 15% of the Kapalua runners go to the Sony. So 14 out of the last 20 Sony winners that played at Kapalua. And Howe last week, it's a classic case of Christmas rust, allied to the fact he hadn't played that course for 11 years. 74, 70, 69, 69. So an 8 under par weekend. I love the way last week went. I love the preparation for Howell, and he's going to one of his favourite courses, if not his favourite course, and can't see him being out of frame.
Do you think he'll look back in life with 37 million in the bank, so I didn't win enough tournaments?
Well, this is it. I mean, his mantelpiece does not reflect his prize money, does it? No. When you get a certain amount of money, you don't really need any more, do you? But you can never have too many trophies.
No, I agree with that. I mean, the thing is, though, Steve, before he snapped that ridiculously long losing margin, I mean, it was almost comical the way he'd sort of timidly creep onto a leaderboard and then immediately back off. Are you sure he's definitely kind of shaken off those leaderboard demons?
I think so, yeah. I mean, in the interviews I've seen since the RSM Classic, you're struggling to find a happier golfer in the world.
He seems a nice man, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does seem a really nice man, yeah. And you often worry about that, don't you? The nice men seem to come last, sort of thing, in all walks of life.
Who would you rather go to a pub with, him or Bryson DeChambeau?
Charles Howell. Charles Howell by a long way, yeah. I really like Charles Howell, but I think he's still a nice guy, obviously, but I think he's got more self-belief now. I mean, the way he turned that around, the RSM Classic final round, it was fantastic. And as I say, he's still got plenty of lead in his pencil at 40. I think we'll see a few wins from him over the next couple of years. Multiple wins.
How much will he win you this week?
20,000 bags.
Oh, 20,000? No, that's 20,000, isn't it?
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. 20,000 bags, yeah. I put all my money on it.
20 bags?
Yeah, sorry, 20 bags, yeah.
We wish you well. Ian, who's your main tip?
Main tip is Keegan Bradley. He was beginning to come back to the form of 5-6 years ago, where he won the PGA Championship and the Bridgestone Invitational. Has always been a high-level tee to green player. Obviously, has struggled for a couple of years with the introduction of the anchored putting ban. Now he looks to have found a putting stroke he can use with the conventional method. Had a fantastic final 3 months of last year. Highlights included 4th at the Canadian Open, a win at the BMW Championship, and a 6th at the HSBC Champions. 27th last week at the Tournament Champions, but an open round 77 put paid any chance of contending. He's played 16 competitive rounds at Wai'alae. 10 of these have been in the 60s. You're going to need to go low this week and rank quite highly in the putting stats. Bradley's winning the playoff in the playoffs last year, came in the low 20s under par. In relation to his putter getting hot, in 4 of his last 5 tournaments, his putting rank in relation to the field has been 1st, 19th, 15th and 7th. I think he looks a great value bet this week, around 50 to 1.
He always looks so nervous, doesn't he? Stresses me out just looking at him. He never looks comfortable, does he?
He's like a long jumper, isn't he? When he starts off,
steps
he
in,
backs
steps
off.
back.
Yeah, he does.
He is an odd character. He gave me a really big stare once at an Open Championship. I'll never forget it. He was, I was sort of lurking around the practice putting green, and his wife was there, but he wasn't there. And I was sort of like right next to his wife, and very attractive. And I think he thought I was flirting with her. And then he turned up at the practice green and gave me one of these death stares, like get away sort of thing. But I wasn't flirting; I was just standing there. Yeah. So I think he's got some insecurities. Yeah.
Good
Factor
Lord.
that into your prices. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now then, you've got 4 other tips, I think, Steve, haven't you?
I have 5.
Rattle them off
field.
then, mate.
I must say at this juncture, I've got 5 against the field, but I was very tempted by the favourite. I mean, we must discuss Justin Thomas. I mean, he was back from an early 15-2 to 6-1. I mean, the favourite must be respected this week. Last week, he was struggling away over the first 3 days, and then all the rust came off. 65 in the windless Sunday. Last week was windy for 3 days, and then on the Sunday it was calm, and he shot a 65. It looks to me like Thomas is. If he can stay focused, it's not really a big tournament for him these days. He's such an elite player. But if Thomas is focused this week, he's going to be very hard to beat. But I've got 5 players who I think can beat the favourite. And the second of them is Patton Kizzire, who we've already mentioned. He's played nicely last week, finished 8th last week. And he's the defending champion this week. And I think he's another player who can benefit from getting the rust out of his system last week. As I say, the stats suggest a Kapalua run is beneficial. He closed with a 5 under par 68 on Sunday, putting really well. And this week it's going to be a windless tournament, so you've got to bring a hot flat stick to the party. And Kizzire won the QBE shootout with Brian Harman just before Christmas. A big morale booster for him. I think he's finding form at the perfect time for his title defence. And we have seen back-to-back winners at Wai'alae. Recently, Jimmy Walker 2014 and 2015. I think Kizzire could easily defend his title.
Okay, and the others?
And 3 more, and they were all playing well before the Christmas break. We've got 3 more, and they didn't play at Kapalua, but they haven't had a huge break, so I don't think there's a huge amount of rust in their system. Cameron Smith, ever-improving young Aussie, big fan of him, finished 10th in the Australian Open, 2nd in the World Cup, playing alongside Mark Leishman for Australia, and then he successfully defended his Australian PGA title. So he had a very busy pre-Christmas. And I don't think the edge would have been taken off him. And Wai'alae's right up his street. So Cameron Smith, number 3. Brian Harman, as mentioned, won the QBE shootout alongside Patton Kizzire. Finished 4th in the Sony last year. Harman very well suited to Wai'alae. And the final one is Siwoo Kim. Siwoo Kim, shaking that ass. He's constantly underrated in markets. Constantly underrated. World class Korean youngster. 2-time US Tour champion at the age of 23. Runaway Players Championship winner in 2017. I always think Kim is too far down the markets. Looked in good nick at the end of last year and could start this year with a bang. He finished 4th on his Sony debut in 2016. I can see Kim just churning out greens in regulation if he has a...
Hang on. Sorry, I need to interrupt you there. I've managed to find an online way of pronouncing the course. Hang on.
Oh, have you?
Let's see if we can hear this.
Yeah, it was scary. I thought some robot.
Yeah, so did
I.
Oh, hang on.
Wai'alae Country Club.
Wai'alae. Oh, the plot thickens.
Who's that?
That was rubbish, wasn't it? That was very unsatisfying. That was rubbish.
Get Gazza on the phone. Gazza will tell you how to say it.
Who's Gazza? Oh, Paul Gascoigne, yeah. I don't know his number. Sorry, you were saying Siwoo Kim.
Siwoo Kim will probably find 72 greens in regulation. If he putts half decently, he'll be banging the thick of things.
Isn't he the bloke who we backed once and he just couldn't make a putt from between
the Heritage,
about 5 and 10
the Heritage,
feet?
yeah. He had the Heritage. He had the Heritage at his mercy. We were on 110 to 1 or some crazy prices, and he missed about 10 putts inside 10 feet in the final few yards. It was a shocker, yeah. But I was over that until you reminded me of that one.
I know.
Thanks for that.
Those scars take a long time to heal in golf betting, don't they? Ian, who have you got to back up Keegan Bradley?
I have 2 more outsiders, and one of them's actually the player who beat Siwoo Kim and that RBC heritage. But I'll go with the first one. Ollie Schneider-Jans. I'm touting up Schneider-Jans of a big 2019. I feel it starts this week in Wai'alae. Hearing and reading some interviews over the Christmas break, Schneider-Jans has changed his whole attitude towards the game. He has admitted he fell out of love with golf in the past 18 months. His heart wasn't really in it. He was just showing up to events, not really putting in the work. He said he's now changed that. With this attitude now changed for the better, aligned with his natural talent, the only way is up for him. Has had 2 appearances at the Sony Open, 27th in 2017, was followed by a 7th place finish last year. Obviously, this is a very encouraging trend and shows he's getting the grips of the test that Wai'alae possesses. I thought 125 to 1 looked a good each way bet this week. And the second outsider is Satoshi Kadera. I'm putting him up because I think he's been somewhat missed in the market. His only PGA Tour win came at a similar type of test, a coastal golf course measuring around 7,000 yards, where accuracy and iron play was important. This was at Harbour Town, the RBC heritage as mentioned. His 31st last week is probably the reason that he's been forgotten, but was in good form before this. Won the Japan Tour Championship at the beginning of December, including a final round 64. Not the best record at Wai'alae in 2 appearances, but I thought quotes of 251 were somewhat disrespectful, and I complete my staking plan this week.
Excellent, jolly good. What other bets should we be having, Steve? We've done the outright. Is there any tops or any match bets that you like?
I think Justin Thomas to beat Bryson DeChambeau is a good bet for high rollers. A bit of 4 to 6 out there. I much prefer Thomas than DeChambeau around here. Schneidergan's got a new caddy. I don't know if you knew that, Ian. He's taking Zach Johnson's caddy, so that'll help him. Very experienced, good caddy. So
how do you find a job if you don't like your job as a professional golfer? What hope is there for? It's the best job in the world, isn't it?
Yeah. Strange comments, very strange comments from Ollie.
He couldn't do our jobs, could he? Stuck in an office all hours.
No, exactly.
Well, no. I'd like to see him take on a sedentary position. Yeah. Where he just sat at your desk for the whole life and then dying very young. I'd like to see that. Really feel sorry for Ollie.
How old do you think you'll be when you die, Steve?
40.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. You are 40 now.
Exactly, yeah, I know. I always have a very negative view of that. I just, when you read up on what sedentary lifestyle does to you and realise that you've already spent more than half your life sedentary, you basically got no hope.
It's never too late. Get out there and
No, I am trying. Honestly, I've made some amazing New Year's resolutions, and I'm really, really trying. I'm going on all different fronts. I'm a completely different character this year, but I just worry it might be too late.
Well, what are they?
Well, I'm running like blooming Forrest Gump every night, and I'm reading my mortgage statement. I actually understand mortgages now, so I'm trying to reduce tension in the shoulders from the mortgage. Yeah, Honestly, you wouldn't believe how different I am. I just hope all these differences don't mean I tip differently, because obviously last year was fantastic, and I'm worried that all the changes will affect my.
I think running and understanding a mortgage statement shouldn't impinge on your ability to tip winners. I wouldn't have thought.
Well, I don't know. It might be a distraction. I am worried. I've got a real fear in my bones at the moment. But once I get that first win of the year, I'll settle down.
Get the monkey off your back. Don't you worry, Rob. All right then, Ian, what have you got for us in addition to those 3 outright tips?
Yeah, with the 2 outright bets, I've had 2 top 20 bets off the back of them. I've backed Kadera top 20 finish at 9 to 1. I thought that was very big, and 11 to 2 about Schneiderjans for top 20. Always looks a good bet this week.
Jolly good. And boys, if you're only having 1 golf bet this week, what would it be, Steve?
Charles Howe top 10. If again, this is the new Steve. I would say Charles Howe to win, but. A top 10 looks very certain. If you look at his overall record on this course, he's placed in the top 5 7 times. So, he goes into this in such fine fettle. So,
if you're getting 8 places on the each way, you might as well just back him each way, hadn't you?
Is that what Paddy Power are offering us?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, unless they go 14 to 1 or something.
I'm horrified to hear that you haven't familiarised yourself with the each way terms, Steve. If this is the new you, then go back to the old you, please.
No, I'm all over him. Don't worry, I've got everything under control.
Good man. Didn't mean to besmirch you. Ian, 1 golf bet this week. What is it?
I like actually tomorrow in the 3 balls. I like Jordan Spieth to beat Bryson DeChambeau and Gary Woodland at around. There's 9 to 4 out there at the moment. I think that's a big price. In his last 2 events, I know he hasn't played the best, but he started very well in this first round, and he's had 2 great starts here at Wai'alae, if memory serves, in the last 4 years. So anything at 2 to 1 or bigger, I think is a cracking bet in that 3 ball tomorrow. Okay,
we're going to look into our crystal balls at what might happen for the rest of the golfing year next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and $1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Oh, baby.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Steve Palmer and Paddy Power's Ian McLaughlin. We are looking ahead now to what might happen throughout the 2019 golfing year in terms of who's going to win the money lists, Who might win a major? Can anyone pull off the Slam? And we'll also have a look into 2020 for the Ryder Cup, because Europe have announced Padraig Harrington as their captain. But first of all, chaps, is there any value in the to win a major market? Steve, we'll start with you.
If I was going to have a bet on that market, there'd be two players I'd be concentrating on. It would be Tiger Woods and Brooks Koepka. I think they'll contend in all four majors. I mean, if you're going to have a bet on this market, you want someone who's going to be in the mix in all four. And Tiger Woods, his record on the four major courses this year, apart from the Open one, which nobody's played, is second to none. And I think he's going to build his schedule around the majors. He's not going to play much. He's going to make sure he's peaking as he continues his chase of Jack Nicklaus's majors record. So Tiger Woods to win a major, and then Brooks Koepka. I don't see how he regresses. He made a sluggish start in Kapalua last week, but that was just down to the fact he hadn't played for a little bit. He hadn't done much practice. I think Koepka will get going again before long, and all four major venues are well within his wheelhouse, whatever that means.
Okay, we've obviously got Augusta for the Masters. We are at Pebble Beach for the US Open, are we?
That's right.
And then Portrush for the Open, and where's the PJ? Bethpage Black, that brutal course in New York, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, what's the latest prices on some of these characters to win majors, Ian?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with Steve's two. So Brooks Koepka can get 2 to 9 and not to win a major, 1 or more 3 to 1, 2 or more 20 to 1, which he did last year, 3 or more 80 to 1, and to do the Slam is 250 to 1.
Come off it, 250 to 1. Leave it out.
We tipped him in our
exactly.
preview, didn't we? Yeah.
No medals for laying those sort of 500 to 1, Bruce. Come on, we're not that blasé. And then Tiger is no majors this year, 1 to 4. 1 or more 5 to 2.
Is that a ping pong ball?
my microphone.
Oh, was it?
My microphone battery pack dropped off.
I thought you were dropping it from your knee there, were you?
Yeah, exactly. It did drop from my knee. Yeah, and it landed exactly where I hoped it would.
Perfect. Story checks out. So back to Tiger's major. 0 is 1 to 4. 1 or more 5 to 2. 2 or more 14 to 1. 3 or more 50 to 1. And the Slam is 200 to 1.
Have you backed the Slam in,
I
Steve?
haven't.
No. Left that for the army. 500 to 1, wasn't it, when we tipped it?
Yeah.
I mean, 175 to 1 for 3 or more. I mean, obviously these are ambitious tips and ambitious bets, but they're both of those players will be in the mix for all four, so worth taking a tickle.
And if you have a fiver in January, you don't miss it, do you, Steve?
No.
Eh?
You don't miss it. And this is the first year where the majors have been so compressed. We discussed it previously.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. Remind me.
Major in April, major in May, major in June, major in July. So you've only got to keep your form for that short period to be flying in every major.
So the USPGA is the second major, is it?
It's the second major. It's in May. Yeah.
What happens to the so-called the unofficial fifth major?
March.
Shunted to March. Yeah.
March.
Same week as the Cheltenham Festival, Bruce. Absolute punt
What?
bonanza. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's sick, isn't it?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
My goodness me, I didn't know that.
When are you going to get over this?
Well,
You're going to need another 10 minutes.
Quarter to 3.
Should we just have a 5-minute break?
That's incredible. No, I can ride it out, but I mean, I'm just shocked by it. I'm also admonishing myself for not knowing that. I used to be across all these sort of things, but
you don't need to be
That's
now.
what we're here for, Bruce.
getting old. Yeah, you to the experts. Let's look at money list then. First of all, Ian, give us a Oh, Ian, sorry, did we come to you with anyone who's any value to win a major?
No, I'll just put up one. I like the player who won last week, Xander Schauffele. We are currently 6 to 1 from to win 1 or more majors this year. Like I touted him at the end of last year to win the US Open. That price has now gone to 28, 33 to 1 from 66 to 1. Now he's now 6th in the world. By the time the Masters come, he could be top 3, top 4 in the world. And looking at his average price for those majors, it could be around the 20 to 1 mark. So that if you back it now and that sort of happens, your 1 or more goes from 6 to 1 into around the 7 to 2, 3 to 1 mark. So I think there's plenty of juice left in that price. There's no real ceiling to what he can do in this year. He's only 24. He's a potential world number 1. He could come to the US Open and the final 2 majors as a world number 1 almost, if all things fall right for him. And then what price is he then? So I think that 6 to 1 looks a standout bet, having to scan through it this morning.
And our old mate, the Greyhound, Cameron Champ, what price is he to win a major?
He is 10 to 1 to win a major. And again, I wouldn't put you off. Yeah.
Friendly tenor on that. Okay, then US money list. What's the latest betting on that from Paddy Power?
Currently 3 places here. Brooks Koepka leads the market at 11 to 2. Justin Thomas 6 to 1. Dustin Johnson 6 to 1. Xander Schauffele in a 7th one afterwards win last week. Rory McIlroy 8 to 1. Bryson DeChambeau 9 to 1. Tiger Woods 10 to 1. Justin Rose 10 to 1 and 18 to 1 bar.
And selections, Stevie?
Brooks Koepka. I think he's an each way bet to nothing there. He's got an early win on the board, won the CJ Cup, so he's already banked $1 million. I don't see how Koepka doesn't bank a fortune again this year. I think him and Dustin Johnson are the standouts in that market. And if you want some each way alternatives at big prices, I think Aaron Wise will progress again this year and win multiple titles. And the Greyhound will win a couple of titles, but he needs to make sure he qualifies for all the big ones, because all these money lists come down to the big ones, really. Particularly if we get onto the race to Dubai, but you need to perform in the main tournaments to have any hope. And I think Brooks Koepka is your man for the US money list.
Who's your man for it, Ian?
I have two against the field. I like Schauffele still there around the 7-8 to 1 mark. Like, he's already got 3 million. Looking at last year's one, around 6.5 million got you into the places, so he's already halfway there. And as I mentioned earlier with the major wins, he's potential to go right to the very top. So I think there's still juice in that 7-8 to 1. And as Steve mentioned, I really like Cameron Champ as well. He's already got 1.5 million in the boards with his win in the Sanderson Farms Championship. And again, his potential is, God knows how far he can go in the game. So I think those are two, 7 to 1 and 25 to 1 currently with us.
Okay. In this ever-changing world, is it still called the European Order of Merit?
Race to Dubai.
Race to Dubai. Okay, What's the latest betting on that one?
Yeah, so we're 4 places here. Tommy Fleetwood heads the betting at 9 to 2. Justin Rose at 8 to 1. John Ram 9 to 1. Francesco Molinari 10 to 1. Rory McIlroy 10 to 1 and 14 to 1 bar.
And Steve, who's your fancies for that?
I don't like the top 2 in the market. Justin Rose has got new clubs. Tommy Fleetwood needs new clubs.
What make are they?
Honma, yeah, sort of luxury Japanese brand, but his tailor-made contract came to an end, and he switched. So I can see Justin struggling for a few months. I can see Tommy Fleetwood having issues. He's still using Nike equipment. He's got to make that change at some point. So I thought the 2 market leaders were poor, and I think John Rahm is the bet in the race to Dubai, because as we've discussed, even if he doesn't play many European Tour events, he's going to perform in all the majors. He's going to perform in all the WGCs, and then I think at the end of the year, because they've rejigged the schedule, he's going to play. He's the sort of lad who would quite happily come over and have a very busy end of the season in Europe. Probably defend his Spanish Open title. I think Rahm's a great bet for the race to Dubai, actually.
So you win this on the big ones rather than the shot clock challenge and those kind of things, do you?
Yeah, you can rule out Mika Kohonen. But I fancy John Rahm for the big bet for the race to Dubai, and I think Thomas Pieters and Louis Oosthuizen could sneak places. Pieters just won the World Cup. I think it's about time he fulfills his rich potential. And then Louis Oosthuizen won the South African Open, very emotional victory for him, and he's got some money on the board, and I think he'll kick on. He's a major contender, Louis Oosthuizen. So they'd be my 3 against the field.
Peters is such an enigma, isn't he? Just don't know, do you, what he's going to do?
Yeah, he's still a young man, though, isn't he? He's still a young man. So I think at that World Cup victory, little Philip, and I think he'll kick on this year. And he's the sort of player that can win majors as well.
Ian, your race to Dubai selections are?
I just have one main one. We're under the market on him. It's Francesco Molinari. His price is as big as 18 to 1 out there. Now, he has mentioned in the off-season that he's going to play a lot more in the US, but as Steve mentioned with John Rahm, it doesn't really matter. He's going to play, there's 10 events that are going to count massively to the race to Dubai before anything really kicks off in terms of Rolex Series events. So Molinari is still there. And again, as Steve mentioned, once the PGA Tour wraps around the 22nd of August, there's still 9 weeks of European Tour golf left. That includes 4 Rolex Series events. It includes the Italian Open, the French Open, Le Golf National, Wentworth. They're 3 courses that he's already won at, and they're back-to-back 3 Rolex Series events. So even if he's languishing behind, he still has a big chance to double his money each week and get right back into the frame. Obviously, he won it by 1.4 million last season. There's firms that have him 4 times the price of Tommy Fleetwood. I just can't really see that. So I have him a lot closer myself to Rahm and Rose. So I think he's a knock-and bet 4 place around the 18 to 1 mark if you can get it.
Lovely stuff. Okay, and finally the Ryder Cup, as we say, it's Captain Harrington for the Europeans. Who's the American captain? Don't we know yet?
Steve Stricker.
Steve Stricker.
Yeah.
Blimey. Okay. And what's the latest betting?
No change after Harrington's appointment, so it's still 4 to 6 USA, Europe 6 to 4, and the tie is currently 10 to 1.
Steve, are you as ambivalent as ever about the Ryder Cup? Should we start with you, or should we start with Ian, who's probably more excited now than as an Irish captain?
Exactly.
I expect he is, yeah. I mean, all I'd say on the matter is I think Harrington will be similar to Paul McGinley, and he'll be a very meticulous character. Yeah, he won't fail through lack of effort, but my concern with Harrington that he might be a bit too might want a bit too much input. Remember Seve Ballesteros at Valderrama, sort of suffocated the players a bit, didn't he? And I can imagine Harrington just be so manic and desperate for victory that he may he needs to accept that once his players have crossed the whitewash, to use a bit of football parlance, that his job's done. So I'm sure someone will have a word with him and explain it to him. But yeah, I think he'd be a good captain if he could just restrain himself a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he'll have his 38 vice captains to help him out as well, won't he? When are they naming them?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Play him closer to probably the end of this season, I would have thought. 6 months or so out from the tournament itself. So,
Ian, talk us through the venue and who it's likely to suit.
Yeah, it's at Whistling Straits. So, as seems to be the trend now in these Ryder Cups, whoever's the home team, they're just going to massively weight it towards them. So I can expect Whistling Straits to be wide fairways, measuring around 8,000 yards, suit the Americans down to the ground. And mention Harman as a captain. He's obviously a hero over in these parts, so I was delighted to see him get a captaincy. And I massive respect for him to take it going to America, because he could have waited for either 2022 in Rome, or could have waited for the big one. That's the more you hear around these parts is going to be a Dare Manor in Limerick, which is a beautiful course. They played like a JP McManus Invitational there that's coming back now, so it's slowly starting to come back into the mind frame. So she'll get the venue in 2026. He could have waited for that. He's taking the big fish. He's going to America, going to try and get the Ryder Cup, retain it over there. It hasn't been done in the last, I think it's 8 years. It'll be 10 years by the time it comes back around again. So yeah, delighted to see him as captain. As Steve said, I think if he doesn't get too much paralysis by analysis, I think he'll be a very, very good captain. And I think it's obviously going to be massively weighted towards the Americans, but there's a lot of up-and-coming Europeans, so it'll be interesting to see what team they have come September 2020.
Any players you think, Steve, might force their way into either team who's absolutely, completely off the radar at this point?
Oh, great question. I'd have to have a good think about that one. I mean, Thomas Peters didn't play last year. I'm sure he'll get back in the side, and Harrington will want him because he was awesome in America in the last away match.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
he's a banger as well, isn't he? So that'd suit him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would suit him. It's going to be such a tough gig because Stricker's a Wisconsin man, and Stricker will have them all fired up. And I think if you're having a bet now, you have to back the States. Because Stricker was a very good captain in the President's Cup, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
I think he's going to be fantastic, and I'm afraid I think the States will win. But yeah, all credit to Harrington taking the job, because a lot of them will be eyeing up. Though I think the Worksop Wonder fancies Rome, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're playing at home, you're probably going to win. That's the way it works. Yeah. But we'll see. But how many months we got? About 25 million months to go, haven't we?
Loads. Isn't this the place with about 3,000 bunkers, some of which just look like children's sand pits, yeah?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, Steve, what's on the agenda? Are you living a life of sobriety during January, or are you easing your way back in?
No, not a fan of that one. Not a fan of that one, because I think January and February are really tough months, aren't they, because they're so miserable. Yeah. I think the people that do the dry Jan are bonkers, really. You might as well do a dry Jan when you've got other things to do rather than drink, if you know what I mean. So
your spirits are all right, are they?
I'm running hard, I'm drinking hard, my spirits are hard. No, don't worry about me.
Okay, I won't. No, we won so much money last year. The last person I need to worry about. Ian, what's the routine for you this week?
I'm in today, and I'm in for 3 days for the Sony Open. Late start, late finish, and I'm off Sunday, so I'll probably sleep all day Sunday.
So you're in the office at like 3 a.m, are you?
Well, no, it'll be probably about midnight, and then we have guys in Australia who'll take it off our hands around midnight. So yeah, it's not too bad. Like, a midnight's not too bad. And it keeps it. I'm actually doing dry January, so it's a nice excuse. I'm
doing it as well. I always do it. I did it when it was just,
before
I'm not
cool.
going to have a drink. Yeah. Now, it's this big thing, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Johnny come lately dry January. Have you buckled yet? Or are you?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'll keep going. Yeah, I'll keep going.
I enjoy it. I love a break.
Disorder. If you factor in seasonal affective disorder, you're probably doing more damage to yourself by not drinking.
I like winter.
The drinking helps the seasonal affective disorder, I find.
I like the winter. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
I think it's good. No, I like the summer.
What have we got next week, lads? Have we got that tournament in Palm Springs with about 3 different courses? What's it called these days?
It's the Desert Classic now. It used to be. It's actually quite confusing because they're going to the Desert Swing in Europe now next week as well. So it's the All Career Builder Challenge in California, and then we're Wednesday starting Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi Champions. That'll be a great field next week. So
okay, good. There's lots to look forward to next week. Hopefully, we will be discussing loads of winning tips this week. We'll quickly run through the tips. Just the names, Steve. Run through your Sony Open selections.
Charles Howell III, Patton Kazaya, Cameron Smith, Brian Harman, Siwoo Kim.
And with equal conciseness, Ian, your 3?
Keegan Bradley, Ollie Schneider-Jans and Satoshi Kadera.
Okay, thank you, chaps. We're back next Tuesday because the action in Abu Dhabi starts early on Wednesday. See you then.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Give him the horn!